Hey everyone, it's your favorite dynamic duo, Marcus,
And Karmea Wells.
the unorthodox Southern Belle, and we are here to introduce a fabulous woman. This woman is a post senator, worked in the government official space, and now coming to the real estate investment side, and she is a wealth of knowledge, all the way from beautiful Hawaii. And we're so jealous. I'm jealous. Carmia, you jealous?
Bet. Can't wait. I would love to see the place. Can't wait for that time to go.
Same. We need to go. Gentleman Style Podcast, that is on our mission. We got to get out there to check it out. So you all stay tuned for this fabulous guest that we have coming to the stage. You won't want to miss 1 second of the tea she's spilling about real estate, the economy, and how Hawaii has been and where it's going. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's your favorite host, dynamic duo hostesses with the mostest of Gentleman Style Podcast, Marcus and
Karmea Wells, the unorthodox Southern Belle.
Thank you all for being here. We're just going to do some quick housekeeping rules. We are on iHeartRadio, radio.com, Apple, Facebook, Audible, Ghana Radio, anywhere you get podcasts, we are there. And today we have a very special guest. This woman spent her time, her energy, and experience working in the government of Hawaii. Aloha to those tuning in. And now she's serving her community in a different way and working in the real estate development side of things. So she has a wealth of knowledge coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. She has experience and talked and spoke about all the things that matter are important. And today she's on Gentleman Style Podcast show to help us understand the significance and the power besides the beauty of Hawaii. So without further ado, we can't help and hold this lady back. This incredible woman, Miss Lailan Bento, coming to the stage. Welcome, Ms. Bento. You look fabulous. Thank you for making time to be on the Gentleman Style Podcast show.
Thank you both for inviting me, and I'm excited to do this podcast today.
We're excited to have you. This is huge. This is significant. I want to say, first off, I always ask a story. There's always a story behind someone that works as hard as you have. And the political arena is not easy. It's not easy to work in the political sector.
No.
What brought you into that industry? What inspired your journey there?
I'm a granddaughter of a senator. My grandfather was a senator for decades here in Hawaii, and he was an incredible man. He is the American dream. He was a Republican, but was endorsed, by the unions, right? Because that's where he came from. And I was working in hotel sales, and one day he said, the governor has a position, you should go work there. And growing up in a political family, I was like, oh no, I don't want to go into politics. And I didn't have a choice. I was in my early 20s and I started working for the governor of Hawaii. Her name was Governor Lingo. And it was one of my most favorite jobs because I realized quickly that I could actually make a difference in people's lives, especially being a Native Hawaiian. They're leaving the state, right? My own people are leaving the state. And so helping, a single mom find a job or an ex-convict get his, documents. It was just every day I would go home and it was like, okay, it didn't matter who was in office, right? It was like I was able to actually help my own community and help my own people. So that's when I started to just love it. And then go into networking and knowing the different government departments, right? And also the history of why laws are the way they are. And I learned very early on, it's crucial to know what's going on in politics, know what those politicians are passing, because it affects our everyday lives. I mean, whether we like it or not. So I always try to encourage people to vote and just to get involved, also on boards or wherever they can volunteer.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of how I transitioned to the governor's office.
What was your favorite thing about working in the government's office, and what was your least favorite Can you share any tea there? What was your least favorite thing to do?
The least favorite thing to do would be, who comes through the office, right? And sometimes they're developers too, and they're trying to weasel their way in, right? And it's like, they don't have good intentions. And I remember this one day, because I come from humble beginnings, right? And there was a developer, very pushy, actually from Atlanta, and yeah, he walks in, he tells me, I need copies. I'm meeting with the governor, so I need to make copies. And I'm on the copy machine, and I'm looking at his plans, right? And I see that he's going to be dynamiting, I'm not kidding, one of our harbors to make this extravagant luxury development. And then I walk out there and I'm like, you're not going to be doing this here. And he said, oh, yes, I am. But don't worry, for your people, we'll have a little cultural center. I'm like, we don't learn our culture in a cultural center. You're born and you're taught that by we call our kupunas, our grandparents, in their living room. Like, we know our culture, it's like, we don't need an amphitheater. So I remember that going, I hope this guy's development gets shut down. And it did. But it was like, I was blown away at what he was thinking he was going to do. And, just to like satisfy the Hawaiian community, right? That's what they sometimes try to do to us, is 3 parking stalls and a little cultural room for you. It's like, no, we need to do a little bit more for the community. So that was kind of, yeah,
excuse me, I'm sorry. Speaking of the Hawaiian community, I was looking into some articles, and for quite some time they were speaking regarding the locals that were born there and live there that are not able to afford the living, the economy. There is too much for them.
Right.
How, from your standpoint, working in the governor's office, do you guys see that updating or changing anytime soon for them? Because we're not talking about people coming there to live. We're talking about people who were born there, right? That they can't even live in their hometown.
Yeah, they're between. I come from a family of 4, and then I have 3 stepbrothers. Only my sister and I live here, and my brothers are all living in Texas and in California, and they are attorneys. They're educated, but to even start here, Hawaii is the most expensive state to live in, right? You have a dozen eggs are like $13, right? A loaf of bread is 10. It's like a gallon of milk is 16. It's like, how do you feed a family, right? So the local community here, they're working multiple jobs, so what's the quality of life then, right? And I think a lot of them give up. And my mom always says our biggest export is our kids, right? We have them leave the islands and they miss home, but they don't come back because there's not enough jobs, or, it's easier for them to get a start at life, right? Maybe in a much cheaper state like Arizona, or a lot of Hawaiians actually went to Vegas. They call it the 9th island, actually.
Vegas?
Yeah.
What's in Vegas?
So I was trying to figure that out, but I watched a podcast and it was explaining, because Hawaii has such a dominant hospitality industry, that when they were promoting Las Vegas decades ago, a lot of Hawaiians started moving over, right? It's the same industry, and it's a fraction of the cost to live here. So it's kind of interesting how there is actually more Native Hawaiians outside of Hawaii than actually here. So but
it's cheaper to live in Vegas. I mean, it's cheaper to live in Hawaii than Vegas?
No, it's cheaper to live in Vegas than Hawaii, right? So they had the same type of job, right, in the hospitality hotel industry. And that's what started people, one by one. Hawaii is, coconut wireless, right? They always say it's not what it's who in the state, right? So it's like one family will move over there, and then they'll tell their cousins, and then, we're all related. So then they all start moving over there.
But you have stayed the entire time. What has encouraged you? What has motivated you to stay? Is it change, the impact that you've done in governorship, and
what I actually moved out at 18 to California, and then I had my daughter. I married my high school sweetheart. I've been married for 24 years, and he was in the Marine Corps. He went to the Marine Corps, and we were living in San Diego, and I was in school there. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. I call her my birth control baby. And so I moved back here. I moved back here with my family because I'm like, I don't know anybody in San Diego, right? And my family, Hawaiians, we all we're very close, right? So you take care of each other's kids. So I'm like, I'm going to move back here. So I did for a little bit there, live in California, which I liked it, but it wasn't home, right? And so I moved back here, and then that's when I started, going into the hotel industry, working sales, selling Hawaii, then into government, and then into real estate. But for me, my own family, to be honest, has had to sacrifice. My husband, he's a Hawaiian too, and he left. My daughter is 21; she's a junior at USC, and he had to leave when she was 8 years old. He worked for the electric company here, and he went to California because he would make 8 times what he would make here in Hawaii, right? And then we wanted to put my daughter in a private school, wanted to put her in a good college, with both of us not finishing college, right? And so that's been kind of my family layout, but that's a lot of families here in Hawaii. Your spouse is working in another state and travels back and forth, and so are your kids. So that's been my honest family life for a while now, but he had to make that sacrifice, right, to get my daughter where she needed to go.
Shout out to an incredible man. There's no place like home, though.
Yeah.
No place like home. That's huge. Thank you for that. And so you worked in governorship, and you shared a con. What was the pros? What was something that you really enjoyed working there, and what you learned and really experienced from working in the government sector?
Yeah, I learned quite a bit. I mean, just different topics, laws, even how Hawaii follows the U.S. mainland. We're a little way behind, but it follows different trends, right? What's going on in other states? We kind of are the last to change it, or to implement different laws. I did get to understand what each department does, between the state, county, and federal government, and how important Hawaii actually is of our location to the United States military also, right? And why the military, has bases everywhere here. It's pivotal, right? It's in the middle of the Pacific.
Strategic, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and what's the stronghold that Hawaii has to the U.S., right? And I find it very unique because you have I think the highest percentage of billionaires, they all own here. And the older I got, it was like, why? And not just the culture. I think because Hawaii is safe, right? It's paradise. It's part of the United States, and people feel safe because that's what they keep telling me, when I sell real estate. I'm like, what? You live in a nice area. I'm like, I know, but, homelessness or, it's not safe. They don't feel safe shopping or whatever it might be. And Hawaii is safe. We all know each other, right? It's like your cousin's the detective and your uncle's the police chief. And so we can figure it out quickly. There is a crime. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. It's a community. That community. Everyone knows everyone. I hated it growing up on my island because I couldn't. If I got in trouble, it was like seconds before my dad knew. My mom and dad knew. So that cultural connection. Yeah. Oh, I grew up with your father. Why? You're Mr. Norman. You're Mr. Norman's son. Come here. Get out of here. Get out of here. What you doing here? It was really. It saved me. Because I could have gotten in trouble, but it also helps. Like you said, it moves things a lot faster. Go ahead, Karmea.
So because you did mention that you're within real estate now, I want to know what are some common difficulties that you experienced while you were, you're still there in Hawaii, while you're selling homes or people are trying to sell their homes. Can you give us some examples or what you've been through so far?
The difficulty would be that not just that Hawaii is the most expensive state, but it has the strictest building regulations in this country, the strictest environmental laws in this country. And so to just change zoning and to build takes about 10 years. It's so much red tape between the county and the state. And so that's what takes time. There's like a saying, if you want to develop in Hawaii, it's time and money, right? Because it's just, and people usually go and get, like my mom, she's been spearheading that development because she knows people in government, right? But to me, I'm always thinking, and I tell the politicians this, why do people have to go in and get somebody? Why can't the general public walk in and get help, or get direction of what to do? Why is it so confusing and you have to know people, I don't think that's fair at all. But the difficulty is local families. I mean, the middle class is struggling, right? And so to find the development we are on, which I'm excited about, is going to bring a ton of affordable housing, which is why my mom and I have stayed on it for 10 years, because we have a database. There's all these families waiting. And the pricing, what people don't know, it's from the government. The government prices it, right? So that's also like a double-edged sword, or people are like, oh, Hawaiians, like the way we speak, they're like, oh, you're selling the land and that's not affordable. It's probably going to be between like 300,000 and maybe high 700,000. But the developer doesn't set those prices, right? The government actually does when you're trying to do affordable housing. And then our state, it's so expensive to build, right? And it takes time to build. But then if you want to do like exemptions, you have to hire or pay union wages. So it doesn't make sense mathematically, right, for a developer. So that's why they have to do some affordable housing, and then they have to go high end because they're going to need to make up that difference, right? They can't sell a home that's 500,000 when it costs them $1 million to build it, right? It just that's why I think people, and I think the one that we're on will be the biggest in the state, and I'm excited because it's actually in a very nice area. They call it the Gold Coast, and it's sad because 12,000 people every day travel from the other side of the island to this side to work, because this is where all the jobs, or most of the jobs, are. And they leave their home at like 4. I've asked them. They get home at like 8 at night. So I mean, what's the quality of life, right? You can't coach your kids' basketball games, right? You're too busy working and driving. And so that's what we're trying to, where the development location is, they can actually live and work right here, right? Just go down the hill. I mean, 2 minutes away.
And when you said from one side of the island, you're not talking, they're not transitioning from islands to island, because there's a series of islands that make up Hawaii.
Right.
These people are traveling across the water, or just traveling from one side to the
other?
From
one side of the island. So our particular island, we call it the Big Island. It's a Hawaii island. But all the islands in the entire state fit in our one island, right? In the island that we're on. And so it's hours in the car, right? And it's only like a 2-lane road.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's, or they catch the bus, but we don't really have a big public transportation system here. So it's like, if you miss the bus, then you miss the bus, right? It's like, oh, I got to sleep in my car or whatever, right? Till the next day. So it's, growing up on an island, right? The lack of amenities. Yeah.
Is either a car or, public transportation, the little that there is, or you're walking, or, phone a friend. And, you got to get creative. You have to get creative. I think I didn't get a car until I was in high school. But that made a huge difference for me, because I was a very active kid. So I was very mobile. I had 3 jobs. And so it made sense to my parents to give me a car. I wasn't the kid that was like, oh, I need a car so I go to clubs so I can pick up chicks and date. No, I need a car because I need to get from this job to this job. And if mom and dad, if you guys don't want to pick me up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I need a car.
Yeah.
From my work, from my job, because public transportation stops running at a certain time.
Right. Yeah.
So that huge impact me, that truly impact me, and kind of, made me the man I am today. And that's huge. How has your experience in governor's office influenced your approach to real estate development today? Because it takes months and months to get zoning and get properly sanctioned, to do the work to stimulate the economy. How has that impacted your real estate development experience?
It helped me because I was able to navigate, the different departments and who's in charge, and I think I would say, just to get the answers quickly instead of waiting and having to drive to these government offices and get an answer. It's interesting. People, my mom said they operate in silos, right? In government, they don't speak to each other, right? Planning doesn't speak to public works. Public works doesn't speak to finance, right? So you have to make sure, and that takes years of building relationships. I mean, I think I've spent, I don't know how much gas money going in there. I teach my real estate agents that work for me, go in there. It's hard to say no if someone's in front of you, right? Go in there, introduce yourself. In Hawaii, our culture is like, I don't know, go take them a poke bowl, go take them sushi, right? That's what we do. That's just part of like our culture, right? Of how we do business here. You just don't walk in, drop work for them to do, and don't even say thank you and walk out, right? They're not going to help you. So I just kind of try to encourage people, like, you know, if you're in business, go and meet these people, right? That's what I did. And so that they know a face when you're trying to write emails and stuff to them. So that's really helped me, just knowing how to navigate quickly to different government departments to help a client if they want to, I don't know, people move here and want to do all kinds of things, yoga retreat or kids camp, you know. So it's kind of hard to understand when people want to do a certain, like build a certain, you know, something unique, that you can't just go in and build it, right? You're going to have to go through all these different departments, extra permitting, just those types of things. So it's played a crucial part in my real estate career.
Yeah, absolutely right. Again, my experience growing up on an island, I remember I needed my birth certificate
Oh
for
boy.
a job here
Yeah.
in Virginia,
Yeah.
and I needed my birth certificate, and I didn't have it. I didn't have a copy of it, so I called
Yeah.
home. I said, "Dad, do you have it?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "No, son, we don't have it." So my island, I had to I had to go online, and I tried to see if there's an electronic application that I can
Yeah.
apply for and all of that. Nope, there's a paper application. I have to print it off, fill it out, mail it to
I know
the
exactly what you mean.
hospital. I
Yeah.
have to mail to the hospital, physically mail it, put a check in there for payment to pay for a copy to be printed. And then I remember a week later, I called them. I called the department office and I said, "Hey, did you get my application for my birth certificate? I need a copy for this job."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's here. We're gonna process it. We haven't processed it yet." The second week, I call again. "Oh yeah, it's here. We're gonna process it. We haven't processed it." Third week, I call. We can't find it. So I called my dad and told him what happened, and he drove up to the hospital, and because they found the paperwork, but I
Yeah.
had jacked up the paperwork. I had messed it up, so I had
Yeah.
missed some information that I didn't
Right.
fill in, but because my dad showed up, they released it to him, and then my father had to mail it to me, but they would
Oh,
not mail it to me directly.
no. No.
So I that's what I had to do, just coming from that island world.
Yeah.
It's a huge
It
transition.
is. It is. And it's like people, when they move here, I'm just like, okay, just be prepared. You're going to have a lot of patience. You know, you're going to get more no's than yeses. And yeah, it's interesting. My sister owns a beauty salon here, and it's called the DCCA. So it's for, if you're licensed, you know, and own a beauty shop, you go through the state department, and she's, I swear she's calling them all the time. And they keep telling her, you know, she actually went in person because she's like, they're like, "We didn't get your paperwork." She's like, "It's really weird though. You cashed my check." So
Right.
someone got the paperwork. You know, is it under someone's cookie jar? I don't know, you know, on the desk.
That's
We
true.
always just laugh, especially when I have clients that, you know, move here from like New York. I'm like, "Listen, I know it's different where you're from. Don't go in there and start screaming in the office, because they're going to smile and then they're going to shred your paperwork, you know, as you leave." So
Ooh,
yeah, I was like,
nasty.
you know, you have to go in there. Please and thank you as a start, you know. So
That's super true. Super. You can't be nasty. You can't be nasty to
no,
island folk at all. They're very loving. They're very nurturing, but you got to respect the culture.
yeah,
I've seen several artists come from outside, come to the island,
yeah.
and they'll host an event. They'll have a concert, and then they'll leave and then talk trash about the island. Well, the people will come back at you. Like
Yeah, it will.
the people will
Yeah,
protest against you and say, "We don't want that singer, that artist." That recently
Mhm.
happened to my island. We had a big, well-known singer in the United States come to the island, did a concert, and then she came and went live and said, "Oh, the people stink. The island smells bad." So the people went back and retaliated and said, "We don't want that artist to ever come back to this island again." And
wow.
she cannot come back to the island. So
No, people don't understand that. They will kick you right out, you know?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's huge, huge, huge. It working. I want to pivot here. Working in leadership, working with other leaders, and working in government. What has leadership? What are some leadership lessons you've learned and now use today that have been most valuable in your current role and with your current business ventures?
I think just keep going. You know, that this development that my mom and I are on, we do regular, right now I do regular real estate until that goes, but that has been a full-time job and for free 99, right? And so there has been so many moments of so many no's, right? And but you see, my mom and I'm like, you know what, but we have to keep going. And some days it's hard because we didn't think it was going to go through, or we got a no, or you get, a little 10 steps forward, but then like 20 steps back, right? And it's like, oh. And sometimes it's just one like government worker holding it up, right? And it's just like, I just tell them straight. What if this is your auntie? Your grandma wants a house? You know what I mean? I know your kids moved away, right? It's kind of like just being straight with them, but it's been tough. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an overnight success. And it kind of lean on my mom, because we both, been so many meetings, and then you're dealing with politicians, and everybody talks about affordable housing, even all the way up to the presidency, right? And it's like, but behind closed doors, what are you going to do to get affordable housing, right? Your speech or campaign, you keep talking about it, but so it's been frustrating to see what politicians are real, right? And then just keep going. I mean, my mom has really helped me, because some days it's like, I don't know if this is going to work. What are we doing? We're not even getting paid. You know what I mean? And but I just kept thinking, no, it's for my own people, because that is like why I got into real estate, right? I'm going to help my own people. I'm going to keep them here. And to me, Hawaiians, they get frustrated, so then they'll leave. And to me, it's like, no, stay and fight. You know what I mean? We came here years ago in double hull canoes, not a ship, in double hull canoes as Hawaiians, and we created an entire civilization. So that is the resilience that I feel like, you know what, we did that. That's where I come from. That's my bloodline. We're going to stay and fight, right? And I've done that. I've created a scholarship fund for local kids this year. I adopted the county parks for my company, because I'm trying to see, with the success I've had, we say it in Hawaiian, it's called, you have to have a kuleana. A kuleana is a responsibility to give back to your community, to give back to the next generation, right? And so to me, it's like, with that success, on nice vacations and own homes, that's not going to help my people, right? How is it going to truly help my people? Educating the kids, cleaning up the parks, all of these things that we do in the community. It's like, it's important to me. It's my core values. I know I look like I'm from LA, but I started in real estate with $8. I come from a place called Hawaiian Homelands, considered the hood. So I remember growing up, with the name, like being around this and thinking, we're going to make a difference, right? How are we going to make a difference and keep all of us here? Because I would love to see my great grandchildren still in the islands, right? At some point, and fishing and doing how we were raised, right? Our cultural practices. It's just, it's crucial, and it's vital for me to just keep fighting. So that's what's kept me going. I'm
gonna shit it too. She got me, y'all. She got me.
Yeah, it's I think we see it across the country, right? And I think with the Hawaiian history, the people don't really understand what they did to us. I mean, we almost were extinct, right? And we were in segregated schools, and my father would get hit in school for even saying a Hawaiian word. So there was just so much fight to get us to where we're at. And I am excited, though. There's more Hawaiian people running for office and getting involved. For so long it was like, they're all crooks, I'm not going to vote. And it's like, no, you got to vote. We have a voice, you got to vote. It's the least you can do. And so I'm excited to see this year more local people, as I would say, running for office. Yeah.
Good. You touched on the expense. I had no idea that it was that expensive to live, and that's what this passion project that you and your mom and your family have taken on. Can you tell me, what is it currently for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath? What is the cost of that now, and then what is the cost?
Yeah, so right on this coastline, it's about a little under $1 million if you want a condo, and then for a home, it's 1.2 million. That's the starting. That's how off balance it is, right? Of who can afford that. And in Hawaii, you're going to drive by a home and you're going to see like 6-7 cars, because you have multi-generational families, right? You have grandma living with their kids, living with their grandkids, because they're all, just to survive, right? Because Hawaiians have they usually have big families. I only have one, which is rare, but they usually have like 4 or 5, 6 kids, right? And so, yeah, so they have like, and then culturally, we don't put our grandparents in a home. Like, that's disrespectful, right? So we, when they start getting sick, you have to take care of them. So that's why you'll see them all living together.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
we're not dropping grandma off at the nearest center.
No.
We're taking care of her.
Yeah, we're taking care of her. Exactly. Yeah.
So that would make your mortgage probably what, $5,000, $6,000 a month. And that's where you and your mom with the $300,000 to $700,000 homes
right
are making it affordable, trying to make it affordable again.
Right. And then they have I'm trying to think of what it's called, an AMI chart, right? And again, it's like, well, we want to build this, but then you're going to put people in these blocks, right? They can't make more than this, and only so many family members. But then it's like, I had to tell the head of housing, well, then let's think about families. I'm thinking of myself when my daughter was playing sports. It's like $500 for a boy to sign up for Pop Warner here, right? So you have these kids selling like cookies to buy shoes, right? It's just because it's so expensive. And then I'm thinking, okay, 500, and you have 4 kids going to play football. The realities of like the everyday expenses, right? We have the highest electricity in the country. You have, food costs are soaring, right? So I'm thinking, okay, we can put them in this mold, but in this chart, they make this amount of money. But then you start doing like, what are their expenses? They can afford this, It's like we're working on that. Like, you are not going to be able to put a family in this perfect little box, right? With the cost of living here.
That's true. I think mortgage is like 1,800 here in Virginia. Karmea, what's mortgage? What is it? You guys, what's it there in Atlanta?
Oh, depending where you live, but it's high. It's high. I know a lot of people, because I'm working on looking for a home, but I'm renting. So we
want to go to Hawaii?
Rent, no. That's like flying across to be homeless right now. No.
Well, when Miss Bento is finished, now it's what are you projecting to be done?
It's a 15-year build out.
Okay.
I think there's 3,000 homes. We're trying to get 6,000 to increase the density, because that will put a dent into affordable housing. I think we are short. Our island has about 200,000 people, and we're short. This is before COVID, right? Everybody moved here in COVID. They did, and as the locals moved out, and it's 13,000 homes short. Just we're short. That's our shortage right now. So we're in a housing crisis.
So you're pushing to make a dent, at least close to half.
Yeah, trying to. Yeah.
And 15-year project. So your timeline, you're not going to be done until after 2030.
Yeah.
So after then, that's huge. Yeah. That's a huge need, a huge necessity. Are you as you finish a house, are you putting someone in, or you're not putting anyone in until all the houses are done?
It depends on how they're building it with the subdivisions, but we already have. I have people all the time calling me.
A massive wait list.
Yes. Yeah.
So you said you have a massive wait list of people.
Yeah, and it was sad. I don't know if you folks saw on the news last year. We have Mauna Loa Mountain. So that is like a main artery, like a main road that cuts the island that's where people drive from one side of the island to the other side. Well, that mountain had erupted. So the lava, was going. And I was thinking, oh my gosh. And they were calling my mom. People were calling my mom saying, are you guys starting yet? Because if that lava crosses that main road, I mean, they're going to have to go all the way around the island,
You guys have an active volcano still?
We have a couple of them. We have one that's a Kilauea. That one's always erupting. And then Mauna Loa, I think.
I'm so curious. Like, how often does it erupt?
What are we talking about?
Like, how often? Like, this is like it's natural, like rain. How often?
Yeah. We have Kilauea volcano. That one's always erupting. That's on the south side of the island. And then Mauna Loa, I think it hadn't erupted in like 100 years. So that's what was rare, that it was actually erupting.
So that's just like a ticking time bomb?
Yeah, they're like slow moving volcanoes though. So you can just watch, the lava coming down the mountain. But a couple of years ago, Kilauea volcano, it ruined about 500 homes in this one area.
So
on the
now,
other side.
so now I gotta ask a question. Where is this development? Where are you guys building? Are you guys building where on the other
No,
side of the volcano where you're building away? Like,
yeah, on
is
the
there
west side of the island.
okay,
So we're
what is
building right. It's right across the street from what we call the resort areas. You have housing with hotels, those types of communities. They're all gated, and then right across the street from that, which is
who
perfect because that's where everybody works, right? In the
good
resort areas.
with
Yeah.
it with it people could what's the insurance like? Who's covering volcano insurance? Is that Geico? Who's that?
It used to be
Can't
Lloyd's of
be.
London. Yeah. It used to be Lloyd's of London. And when Kilauea ruined all those homes, they pulled out. So then our state had to actually step in and start insuring homeowners there because the insurance companies were like, I'm not going to,
Take
you
that
know,
risk.
yeah.
That's basically what a lot of those flood insurances did in Florida because it's a hurricane that hits them every year. They can't miss it. And they can't miss that bus for anything. So they're like, look, we're not covering for that anymore. At this point, you guys need to learn how to sink or swim, move. Just move.
Just
Well,
leave.
that's what's happening right now with the condos because of Lahaina, right? Lahaina burned last year, right, in August. And all of a sudden, the insurance companies are kind of copying like what you're just saying, Florida and California with their brush fires and Florida with the hurricanes. Now it's Hawaii because Lahaina burned, right? Had a fire there. I think all the condo insurances, what they're doing right now, they're increasing like between 400% and 700%. And so people are like, I don't have money paying this. The HOAs are like doubling for a condo. So that's what I know our state legislature is trying to tackle right now because the state law is like, mandates you to have so much insurance, but then it's like, well, they just increased or almost doubled, right? Without only a quick notice too. It wasn't like giving these homeowners associations time, right, to kind of like budget it. It was just, Lahaina happened, we're increasing.
That's huge. And she almost had me, y'all. She almost had me. I was right on the line of like, maybe we can work because I just spoke to a gentleman and his wife,
Yeah.
and they're moving to Hawaii. They're building their dream house, and they opened a couple businesses in where did he say he was? And he's like, between you and me, my wife and I are getting out of here. I think he's trying to leave before the election. That's what the conversation was. So he and his wife are moving to Hawaii. And so now I need to send him this interview so he could get an idea and he can reach out and he can ask questions. Go ahead, Karmea.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what island?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Do you know what island they're moving to, or?
I can ask him. I will ask him because now this interview has a whole new
perspective on on the islands.
This is huge insight. She is dropping nuggets this episode, y'all.
Yeah.
This is huge. Miss Bento saving the day. So before you build, you guys need to talk to Miss Bento to understand the development, what island has the least active volcanoes, what island is the best for work-wise. Yeah. Unless you're like an entrepreneur. If you work remotely, then it doesn't matter where you work, right?
Right.
And so, but Miss Bento is the plug right now. This is huge.
Thank you.
You're
right though about flood zones because Hawaii has all of these layers of there's flood zones on the island, lava zones on the island. So you're right because sometimes people will call me and go, I found this amazing deal. It's $10,000 for 5 acres. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're on it. I'm like, you're on an active live volcano.
That's why it's so low.
Yeah, so I always tell people, okay, rule of thumb, if it's really cheap, all of us from here will be buying it up, right? Right. So then they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now.
How's it so cheap you can't give them away? Lord.
Yeah.
Lordy, 10,000. I got a deal. Yeah. Sir, let me tell you. That is huge. I remember I was stationed in Guam. I was Navy. Okay. I served 8 years in the Navy. And so I remember in Guam when that continental shelf near Japan had that shift causing that massive tsunami.
Yes.
So my stupid self, so the whole island shuts down. They still have the sirens that go off on the entire island.
Yeah.
And so everybody had to evacuate and shelter on take high ground. My stupid self evacuates where I was living. Unbeknownst to me, I was living in a flood-free area. So my apartment complex was a safe haven from the tsunami, and I left my house. So
Bless your
that
heart
I was not aware. I hadn't been
and
on an
all your
island in
thoughts.
years.
Yeah.
So I was completely unaware of that. But that is a real thing. We're
Yeah.
talking an island wide shutdown, and everybody needs to, shelter in place or evacuate to
Right.
higher ground
Right.
because that wave from Japan was massive. And so you got active volcanoes, you got floods, water. So you really
We
have to know your stuff.
You do, because for example, our island has almost, I think it's 11 out of 13 world climates on our island. So there's like a desert, a rainforest. So that's like, it's teaching people where to buy real estate, right? They have these ideas in their head. And one of the first questions I always ask people when they call and want to buy, they're all excited to buy real estate here, is have they been to the island, right? And sometimes if they haven't been here, I'll have them, arrive a few days earlier and say, okay, drive around, to all the different towns, right? And most of the time where they wanted to live, they're like, oh, absolutely not. I don't want to live over there. And so I always ask that question, okay, are you familiar with the island? And then I go from there, right? Because some people are, but since COVID, a lot of people have had Hawaii on their bucket list and have no idea and then just want to buy here, right? So
That's true.
yeah,
I
interesting.
heard, I heard that there's someone in the cannabis business and they're interested in possibly expanding. Where what's Hawaii's laws and regulations around cannabis and medicinal marijuana?
I know it keeps coming up every year at the state legislature, and I know the governor is for it. I saw that he was for it, but I think they keep voting against it right now. But I think I don't know. I could see it passing because it keeps coming up every year, right? So I've been following that because I have a couple of clients in that business are asking, to expand out here that are, have businesses in California.
Darn. I mean, I'll tell my friend.
Well, think of all the people that smoke weed, right? What they call it, Maui Wowie, and it's
Hawaiian haze.
Yeah,
Not that I
exactly.
mess with that stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
So that is huge. I told y'all this is going to be an epic conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my friend. So we'll keep in touch with Miss Bento and
Yeah.
bring her back on for future updates on hopefully it won't be 15 years, but it'll probably be before the grand opening of the
Yeah.
launching of her development, her and her mom. So because that's gonna be massive. That's gonna save thousands, $2,000-$3,000 on a mortgage.
Oh, I know.
That's huge. How do you balance it all, Miss Bento? How do you balance family? You said your husband travels for work. You
Yeah.
have two daughters. Did I catch two?
I have one. She's
One.
in Los Angeles. She's a junior at USC. She's in their business school there.
Congrats.
Yeah, USC is letting a lot of Hawaiian kids in, which I'm excited about. I'm like, let them all in. They just need a chance, just one chance. I think someone on their board, I know Mr. Benioff, who's one of their board of directors. He owns Salesforce.com. He owns properties all around here, but I think he sits on the USC's board, and he moved his family here in COVID. So I think he has a lot to do with recruiting kids from Hawaii, I think, because it's just been an influx of more kids going there. Yeah.
How do you balance it all? How do you balance the projects with you and your mom and the frustrations of dealing with legislation? How do you balance it all?
I try to stay organized. Like every Sunday, I look at my calendar and try to stay organized, stay focused, because you can get pulled in all different ways, especially in real estate, right? You can run into a problem, you have a set schedule, and then all of a sudden a client needs help, a toilet's overflowing or something, right? Or an escrow goes upside down. So I would say just try to stay focused and organized and not sign up. I used to, for many years, just not say no. So now I'm trying to think of yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. And then God, I was raised in a Pentecostal church, right? My whole life. And I think, some days I'm like, thank goodness I have God, right? Because it keeps me grounded. And, tough days, good days. It's trying to balance it out. I go running. I feel like running is my therapy, right? You can kind of check out for 45 minutes or an hour, then come back, right? Of my day. But just trying to, I think, as much as I can stay organized, but it's tough. Some days it's tough to try and, the political arena, development, real estate, being a mom, wife, right?
It's a lot.
Definitely an act I haven't perfected yet.
It's a lot. Do
Yeah.
you model?
No.
Okay. Just curious. I'm throwing that out there. I'm throwing some fish out there. Seeing what sticks to the wall. That is huge. That's massive. What is
I'm trying to be more on social media. I'm actually shy in person, and for some reason, when it's time to film, I'm like, I don't know, I get staged right.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
For so many years, I was so shy. I can't even believe I'm in sales. Really, I would let my older brother do all the talking for us.
I don't believe it. I don't
Yeah.
believe it. I don't believe her one second.
Hey, it's very possible. If Beyonce can have anxiety, social anxiety,
Yeah.
it's very possible. Because even myself, I have social anxiety, believe it or not.
You're shy, Karmea, when modeling?
Yeah.
It's just a switch I have to turn on when I go out and do it.
Yeah.
But it's like a switch. It is like, oh, when that time is over, it's like, oh, she disappears into the abyss.
What? you gone. She done.
Are you coming to the after party after the fashion show? Oh, no.
That's incredible. That's incredible. You all, so the audience, you all know Karmea. She models professionally. Wow. So you all have seen the photos, the pictures, the boudoir shoots. That's ridiculous. That is
wow.
That's incredible.
Did you do that since you were young?
No. I got more into it in college, my college years. Okay. Yeah, I got more into it during my college years. And then I went forward with it through there and more steady at the end of my college years.
Wow.
But no, not from when I was younger. But they were saying while I was in private school, go ahead and put her in some acting classes and stuff. But I didn't get more into that stuff until later.
It's interesting, right? Do you folks both own your own businesses?
For myself, I'm freelance and I do have an LLC, and I'm currently building mine. I'm building mine up.
Okay, it's interesting, right? That when I got into real estate 10 years ago, it's like, okay, I was just thinking I have to just do sales, right? And now it's like, okay, it's 2024. You got to be on TikTok. You got to be a videographer. You got to do reels. You got to do newsletters. It's like, wow, this is a lot. I never thought.
It is so much. You got to be the editor. You got to be the photographer. You got to be the videographer. You got to be the person checking as you take the pictures, because you can't have someone there all the time. You got to be your own makeup artist. You got to be your own. You got to be your own beautician. You got to do the hair and everything. Yeah. Look, is that eyelash off? Wait, I got to pause everything and fix it.
I'm like, who would have ever thought we have to do all of these things? All of this. Right? Yeah.
That's incredible. Ms. Bento and Karmea, you guys are incredible for everything that you do. Ms. Bento, what do you see for the future of Hawaii going forward? What is your vision? What is the plan? And it sounds like you're getting some pushback from legislation, but it also sounds you also have some progressives in there that are allowing you to move the island forward and continue. Because tourism, do you guys have any major exports, or tourism is
tourism? It's military and then tourism,
your bread and butter?
Yeah.
So what is your vision for your company and the future of Hawaii? What do you project?
I think, Lahaina, things, natural disasters kind of shake everybody up. And I think it began.
Yes, it does.
Right. What I loved is in COVID, it made everybody stop, right? Especially because Hawaii has the lowest voter turnout. It made everyone stop and kind of start paying attention to, hey, what's really going on? So now I'm trying to see, which I'm excited, more people involved. And then Lahaina happened. And now it's really putting pressure on our politicians that we need housing, right? We need affordable housing. You folks are taking too long to approve anything. We don't necessarily need to be overly developed, but the middle class and the working class needs to have a home, And so that was nice to see that the governor came out with an emergency proclamation of trying to get through some of that red tape, right, as an exemption and take it off some of these really stupid laws that we have. And, I can see one aspect of it of not to be overly developed and kind of monitoring our islands. But then on the other side, it's like, okay, well, while we're taking forever, people are leaving, right? I think I read an article, 14 people are leaving a day. Wow. Residents here are leaving every single day. Yeah.
Wow. I got two questions. One, you guys obviously vote for your local and regional senatorial and government. Are you
Right.
guys allowed? Because my island, we're not allowed to vote for the president of the United States because we're a territory. Is that the same for you guys? And then two, how is the workforce there? Is there enough jobs there for its citizens?
There are, it depends on what island. So Honolulu or the island of Oahu runs the state, right? I always tell people this. And then it's like the stepchildren are the outer islands, we would call it. And it's amazing because that island will pass laws. It has nothing to do with our islands, right? It's like, listen, we don't really have public transportation. We don't have private sewers. We don't have all of these things they have on that island because it's a city, right? And, so I would say with that, it's difficult to try and, make it all through and just to keep, moving us all forward. I think it's
For
just,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. This has been epic. This has been insightful. This has been insightful, and I never got to in my military service. I know a lot of people military they praise going to Hawaii because as a military active duty, the government offsets your income to help compensate you, so you
Right,
can afford to live. But
right,
for everyone else, what do you do? What do you do?
right,
So
right.
you have to work. So you said there is opportunities, there is jobs there. I want to end on a positive note. If
Yeah,
someone was on the fence and is considering moving to Hawaii, what
yeah.
would you say, that young boy, that young girl starting a family or maybe has an established family? What would you say to them right now?
I would say you can make it. It may take some sacrifice and discipline at first, but you definitely can make it. I'm a huge proponent of it, especially my own people, letting them know, telling them, right, that they can make it. You can make it here, dig your feet in. I mean, like, stick your heels in, you can make it. And it's not going to be easy, but, you know, I've made it and, it took a lot of work, but, and I'm still trying to make it. And I would just encourage anyone that wants to move here or a young kid, Hawaii is a beautiful place. The culture is beautiful. I mean, it's the aloha spirit, right? And yeah, I would encourage anyone to move here.
Huge, huge. I love it. Heart of gold. Carmia, you got anything?
No, I think we covered so much, and I really love this interview. I just, well, if anyone's wanting to move to Hawaii, you're gonna have to be an earth, air, water, and fire bender before you come on land. I'm joking, no, but just do your research before coming,
Yeah,
get deep into that research and reach out to Ms. Bento to see if you can find out further information if you're wanting to buy a home or get into real estate there.
right,
So you know some of the base level and you can learn even more before you get there. So you're not shocked. You
right,
know who you need to talk to, what basically steps you need to take. So you can go you can go there and not waste time
right,
because
right.
clearly it's a time period for you to get what you need.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
How can
Yeah.
people connect with you, Miss Bento? How can people learn more? How can my friend connect with you and what you're doing?
We can go ahead and provide my contact information. My real estate Instagram also is at Lailan Bento, which is just my name. And I believe we can go ahead and provide my cell phone and then my email address as well if anyone has any questions about Hawaii.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Connect. Also, we're going to share her website. That's for our audio listeners. That's hawaiidevelopmentgroup.com. And if you want to reach out to Ms. Bento and her team, that's LIAILAN Bento.com. Connect. And we're going to put those phone numbers and email in the direct show notes of this episode. This has been epic, absolutely incredible. Miss Bento, you are a true gem. Thank you for what you do. And I
Yeah,
want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up.
yeah,
We need you.
yeah.
So you and your mom, if your mom's watching this, mom, don't give up. We need
Yeah,
both. We need both of y'all to
yeah,
turn that real estate, because real estate kind of controls everything, right? If I
yeah,
can't live there, I can't work, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't do anything else. So
right.
you and your mom, please don't give up.
Right. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
thank you all for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this message was helpful. I hope this was inspiration. And I hope this was impactful. And we learned a thing or two about Hawaii and why we all should consider going there. Thank you all for tuning in. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and
Karmea Wells, the unorthodox Southern Belle.
and the incredible, beautiful, super fragilistic Espialidocious Lailan Bento signing off. Love you
Thank
guys.
you.